Hi, you guys. How's it going? Hope everybody's doing okay. I have been in the house literally for like 3 days because it is so hot in Spokane right now. At least it's dry and it's not, humid and hot at the same time. So, anywho, I picked up a bunch of Reader's Digest journals, maybe a month or so ago, and I gutted out about a dozen of them and kind of prepped the covers and got them sort of ready to work on. All of them were in really, really good shape. I did have to replace the spine on them, so I went ahead and um, made them just a tiny bit wider than they normally are. And then I put 3 signatures in each one. And I will show you what's inside them here in just a second. So basically, all of them kind of have similar pages as far as the base for the pages um, in each signature. But then I'm taking each one individually and completing them one at a time rather than working on all 12 all at once, like I do sometimes. Okay, so I'm going to flip through both of these and let you see what's in them. So I've really been getting into doing this on the spine. I just love the way it looks. I love the way it feels. I love the idea that you can, attach charms on the little scraps and stuff that are hanging off of the spine. And then also I've been, attaching buttons and stuff onto the stitching. So, and those are just all vintage buttons. And then I've done a charm on this one this is an old Roman penny and one of my paperclip beads with some eyelash trim, a tiny little tag that I made from some paper scraps, a little rusted charm. It's the Tree of Life. Here's another kind of mini paperclip bead, and then some vintage buttons on a bulb pin attached with a piece of ball chain on an eyelet here at the top. And then on the cover, on the front cover, I've got this little paper flower. I love these paper flowers. I get these at Hobby Lobby, and I don't know, I just think they're beautiful. They come in a set with like 3 different sizes and some leaves and stuff, and I just think they're gorgeous. And then I've got an old, like a rusty little lock and key there on a bulb pin attached to the ruffle that I made out of some wedding dress satin that I coffee dyed. And then I did a book plate on the front. Inside there's a piece of like wallpaper behind it, a little piece of torn paper, and then on that paper it says Curious. And then I did the like kind of brass book corners on this one, and then I inked it just a little bit with some Inca Gold on the front and the back. Okay, and then I used a hitch post closure with some seam binding that I dyed. All right, so inside we've got a pocket on the inside cover, got some tags here. This is made out of just book paper, a couple layers of book paper, some cheesecloth, and then just a coffee dyed plain shipping tag. And then I've really been getting into just making these little envelope shaped inserts. So this is actually drawing paper that I tea dyed, and I really love the weight of it. It's just really yummy paper. It came out of like an artist's journal, So, all right. And then I made a bunch of those little tiny tags out of just like scraps from my box of like offcuts from book pages when I've been making the larger tags. So like if I trimmed off the edge of the book pages, these are the little strips that are left over. So I really think they're cute. So anywho, there's another pocket on that front page with my business card. It's another one of those envelope shaped inserts, a couple of really old handwritten recipes, one for raisin pie and the other one for potato puffs. And then I took a couple of book pages from a really old, actually a couple different field guides, and these are actually from different books, but I stitched them together with a zigzag stitch right down the edge of, in the center, and so now they look like they were made that way. All right. I might have to do this somewhat quickly, or else this video is seriously going to be like an hour and a half. And then I embellished the pocket on this page with some vintage postage, and a little bow that I made with some satin, and then a little, I guess, a little word plaque or something. It says, "Not all who wander are lost." And so in the listings on Etsy, you're able to add 10 photos, but really for a junk journal, that's just not really even enough. I mean, I wish they would just let us upload like a short video. I think that would be really cool. It's another tag I made with some scraps. And I'm quite messy when it comes to my stitching on tags and stuff like that. Like, I don't usually trim the tails and that kind of thing. If that sort of thing bothers you, absolutely go ahead and trim them off, but I like to leave them because I know some people like that too. So these are just some book pages from the oh my gosh, I always forget the name of that magazine that I just got a whole bunch of them, so I used a bunch of pages out of those. And then some vintage wallpaper, and then paper clipped here. There's a little ticket, a little page from, I think it's a Spanish to English dictionary. It's a little teeny tiny dictionary, like this. This is a little tiny one. So I've been using the pages out of those. And then on this side, we've got a pocket that's made from a couple layers of book paper and some printed, like these are just copies of some vintage photographs, and a little butterfly. Lots of little goodies throughout the whole journal, some ration stamps, a little tag, and then book paper that's been cut with the die. And this is actually vintage wallpaper. Some little doily with a rusted safety pin and a little rusty snap on the safety pin. So I like to leave a good number of pages unembellished, because I feel like that's kind of the whole idea with junk journals to me, is to leave space for you to add your own stuff. I don't embellish every page. I just I don't think I would like that. If I bought a journal, I would like to be able to add my own stuff. So I think if I compare my work to some other people's junk journals, sometimes I think, gosh, I really need to embellish more, but I think I have a pretty good balance. I honestly do. So, but yeah. And here's another tag with some vintage lace that I got from Rachel. And the tabs on this book are, this is a really old quilted. All of the fabrics in this are like kind of satiny. And it was just like a pillowcase that I purchased at the thrift store. And I just love every single piece of that fabric. And it had nice purples and pinks in it. So I used the same fabric for all of the tabs on the book. And then here's a little bulb pin with a vintage button. And then another book page from one of my field guides. An end paper from a Reader's Digest, and another piece of end paper from another vintage book. Save all that stuff and use it. Some more wrapping paper. This is from like a science workbook, this paper. Here's another one of my little paper clip beads with a little sunflower charm on it with a rusty paper clip. And then it's holding on one of those little envelope journaling cards. This little tag with a actual photo of a little girl from the 40s. Wrapping paper, field guide. This is an old guest book. More wrapping paper with a book page pocket and another little envelope. This one I actually put a little tab there and did some stitching on it so it stays shut. And a little egg. Kind of birds and flowers and sewing and just kind of random vintage stuff. Like my thinking is that I like to include things in my journals that somebody of this era may actually have around their house. You know what I mean? Like just things that they may use that are made out of paper that they could write on. You know, I try to put myself in that time and imagine the kind of stuff that they may have laying around that they would want to make if they were into repurposing into a journal. It's another book page from, that's a Latin dictionary. And another rusty paperclip with another paperclip bead on there with a little tiny charm. It's a little tassel and then another rusted snap. Pages from my favorite garden flowers and color book. This is some pages from either the gardening binder book or the handyman one. I can't remember. So this is just a pocket that's actually a floating pocket with a couple of journaling cards in there. And that's held on with a somewhat large rusted paper clip. This is from a paper bag. There's another one of those envelopes. I love making these. They were super fun and a good way to use up a lot of my images and that kind of stuff. I always say I'm trying to use things up, but I don't think I'm ever going to use it all up because I just keep adding to it, you know, like we all do. It's from a vintage pattern, a sewing pattern that I actually decoupaged onto some cardstock, mostly just to save the pattern from completely disintegrating. So I put it on this little card, and it's pretty sturdy now. Some coffee dyed paper, wrapping paper. This is from a encyclopedia. It's a little journaling card. Another one of those little tiny tags that I made that says miscellaneous. And then this side is another page from a field guide, and then a card catalog card, a little piece of a map. It's kind of like a heavy card. Coffee dyed paper, wrapping paper, some little mushrooms with some Inca gold around the edges. Field guide, book pages, wallpaper, and it goes on. And then in the center of this signature, which is the second signature, there's an envelope that's stitched in with a vintage postcard and a full sheet of that drawing paper that I tea dyed. And then I put a ruffle on here. This ruffle is actually made out of some fabric that I got when I purchased some silk scraps from India. So this is what it comes wrapped in, this cool fabric. It's almost like muslin, but kind of a cross between muslin and cheesecloth. It's a real loose weave fabric. It's another envelope. And then another sewing pattern card. Another one of those little tiny book pages with a punched wallpaper heart and a little shipping tag. You know, I never count the pages in my journals, but I might this time just to know. This is another receipt, 1955 it says. Little tuck spots. This is a really old postcard. The postage on it says 2.5 cents, but yeah, it's a really old postcard. I would say from the 20s or so. This is the one of the field guides that I had. Came in like a little box, and this is the part of the box that it came in. A little fussy cut flower with a hummingbird moth. Just a little pocket with a book page tag and another one of those photos that I copied. Those are my family pictures, so. This is just like a little tuck spot here with a card catalog card. Another pocket. Shipping tag. It's a piece of that really old ledger paper from the 30s. This is encyclopedia. It's a glassine envelope that actually has, it's kind of like a, I took another piece of glassine paper and sort of sandwiched some images and stuff on top of the envelope so you can, you know, see through it, and all that stuff is like floating in there. It's kind of, it moves around. So, and then I just put some playing cards in there. And then it's clipped on, whoops. Ah. I'm putting it on this page. And then it's just attached with another rusty paper clip with another paper clip bead with a charm on it. I love making those little paper clip beads. They're super, super fun. I need to make some more because I used up a whole bunch of them in my popcorn bag kits, which, by the way, I am shipping those out on Monday afternoon. I had to finish actually assembling all of them and putting them together. So if you ordered one, don't worry. I haven't forgot about them. This is another glassine envelope with some tags inside. About the popcorn bag, these are just, it's another recipe card and then another like stitched journaling card. It says that the quantity in my shop on the popcorn bag kits is like only like 8 or 9 or something, but I actually have, I might change that. I think I can do 10 more because I know a lot of people are just kind of waiting to purchase them. I don't know why I put 2 of these in there, but there's 2 of those cards in there. But anyways, I'm going to change the quantity available because I think I can do 10 more. And so that's going to go along with my, I hope you don't mind that I kind of carry on about this while I'm flipping through this journal. But so those kits are going to go along with a tutorial that I'm going to do on a live stream on August 26th. So it'll be a 2 or 3 hour live stream. And then what I'm going to do is anybody who purchases the kit is going to retain access to the video, to the live stream. But then after the live stream, after the video uploads, I'm going to change the video to private. so that in order to gain access to the tutorial that goes with the kit, you need to purchase the kit, and then I'll open up the video to you. So that's the way I decided to do that. There's a couple little tags in here made out of book paper. So I hope that makes sense. Instead of, you know, making a tutorial and having it hosted on another, you know, website or like Teachable or someplace like that, I decided to just stick with YouTube as much as I can, and I decided to do it that way. So I'm just going to see how that works, see how it goes. So basically, like if you buy a kit that goes with a tutorial from me, I will add your email as somebody that I will share the video with, and I'm just going to make them a private video. So anyway, so then these little tags, some of these I took and embellished. There's another little rusty lock and key with a rusted safety pin, and I actually rusted that stuff myself. So if you're interested in seeing that or finding out how I've done that, I'd be happy to make a video about that, because there are some things that are kind of tricky when it comes to rusting certain things. So I've learned some stuff along the way, so I may do a video on that. Another one of those little tags, and then this is this is a piece of the lace that's actually in that popcorn kit, and then a little piece of vintage fabric from Rachel on a bulb pin. Okay, so I hope that made sense what I was saying about the popcorn bag tutorial. So this is Curious, and then let's go through this other one. So that's the purple one. So this is the kind of teal green one, teal green and gray. So this one I have titled Gypsy Soul. So that's what it says in the little book plate. And then again, on the spine, I've added a whole bunch of scraps of different colors of seam binding. A whole bunch of buttons are stitched on here. You kind of have to move the stuff around to be able to see the buttons, but I sort of like that. And then I did the eyelet on the spine on this one with a book ring. And then the little dangle is one of those paperclip beads with some other charms hanging off of the bottom. One of them is a little chain tassel. One of my little tiny, like collaged little tags that says Truth. There's a little key, and then a vintage button on a shank. And then it's a little rusted charm, another key, a little butterfly charm, and then this is an old buckle. I know you probably can't see that stuff very well, but I'll have a close-up of the bead, the charm dangle in the listing too, so that might be a little bit better. Okay, and then I did another ruffle on the front cover. I attached this little tag with a bulb pin on the front, some paper flowers, and vintage buttons. Again, I used the hitch post closure. I just love it. I just think it's the easiest, most versatile closure kind of method, you know. Okay, so I added one of my little tiny tags in there. I just love them. They're so cute. And then this is another one of my little envelope journaling cards. I tied this one closed with a piece of baker's twine, and I kind of rounded the corners and stuff. I didn't do this. I like it. I like the way it looks, but you know, I decided, okay, I'm not doing that to all of them, but I did do a few like this. So, but I like the way that looks. And then another page, the front page is a pocket. There's my business card, a couple of journaling cards inserted in this pocket. Some more postage and that kind of thing. It's another rusted paper clip with some little doodads. Um, I cut apart, I have this like old children's encyclopedia set, and so I've kind of just been cutting out words and their definitions and stuff, some that I really like, and this one is for life. And then it's a little book page tag with some decoupage on it, and then just a little ticket. I just love making junk journals, you guys. I just love it. I love making them. It's so funny because I do not journal. Who knows? Maybe one day I'll start, but for now, I don't really journal. I just like making them. It's a page out of the Child Life, one of the Child Life magazines that I picked up in Arizona. If anybody saw that, flip through. Those are amazing magazines. It's a little card with some vintage sewing pattern. Some of the garden flowers and color book. This is a piece from an encyclopedia. Vintage wallpaper. Just another little pretty ruffle on here. This is like a AAA like map guidebook thing that I took apart. Some of these pages I just, you know, they're so odd and quirky and weird. You know, I just like that. I like to have little surprises. So one of those little bird paper clips that I got recently. It's another journaling card. And some book paper. Actually, this is a recipe that I did some stitching on and backed it with some other paper. Just a little journaling card. Paper flower. Piece from a, whoops, goes that way. This is a bird guidebook. And this is actually a floating pocket. So this actually fits inside of there. So you could put this little pocket wherever you want. And then another piece of that fabric from Rachel. A little tiny tag. And a book page from one of my guidebooks. And this really pretty fussy cut butterfly that is actually mounted on some heavy cardstock. So it's kind of thick. And then I coated it with a clear coat. This is from a sewing pattern. Little fussy cut bird, wrapping paper, guidebook on trees, science book, Popular Mechanics. That's the name of the magazine that I was trying to remember. There's some postage, another tag made out of scraps. This had this really ugly, like, I don't know, I think it was a cockroach or something on this page, and I just couldn't stand it, so I glued this image of a bird over the top of it. I don't like bugs that have like exoskeletons, you know. They just like give me the heebie-jeebies. So I've done tabs on this book using a piece of that antique trim that I got from Rachel too. It's kind of like a strap almost, like a, I don't know how to describe it, but I use that as tabs throughout this book. Little flip out with the end paper from a Reader's Digest. Some of the guest book. I made a little pocket with some vintage sheet fabric that I got from Gina at the Rebookery. Wrapping paper. It's a little receipt from 1954 and a little card there. And then in this pocket, there's a little bridge scorecard. Tally card, I guess. Just a little vintage postcard and a piece of wallpaper scrap. I used a little bit of vintage lace and fabric and stitched it onto some of these pages. There's this one of those cards I made with a bunch of layering and kind of decoupaged, I guess. And I liked this piece of music paper. The song is called Peace. It's another one of those envelopes. And then the tree field guide. Did some stitching and added some lace to it. One of those little tiny tags. Just some random ephemera in the pockets. Oh, come here. A little piece of wallpaper. What is this? Oh, it's a recipe card. This is like a stamp catalog, a vintage postage stamp catalog, like for collectors, you know. Another page from the Child Life magazine. It's one of those pretty little tulip-shaped paper clips with just some random paper ephemera. I'm trying to speed this up just a tiny bit. This is a page from this book called Toby's Goblin. It was like a children's book that I just love the paper. If you could feel this paper and feel how soft it is and how cottony and thick it is, it's just yummy. And each page has a lot of white space. So like all of them have like a big border or so. That's why I like that book. It's a piece of wallpaper. Some tea-dyed. This is like 28-pound printer paper that I've been using. A little seam binding label for my bird field guide. Encyclopedia page. Some book, some music paper. Just a pocket made out of a page from, oh, a book about houseplants, I think. A couple of tags made with some layering, stitched up. This is just like, this is a piece of atlas paper with some vintage postage decoupaged onto it. Just another book page from a field guide about flowers. This is one of those pieces that I actually did the wax on, like encaustic, I guess. And then this one is just layered with an image and some bead sack fabrics on it. A little bee, little honey bee. Wrapping paper. And I bought a sheet of the newest Love stamp that's out right now. And then I used my little cancel like stamp thing and canceled all of them because I just like the way they look now that they're canceled. Anyway, I put one on here. Some wallpaper, wrapping paper, little rusted paper clip with some paper cards. This is from the cookbook, binder book. Little flip out here with, this is a image from the Garden Flowers in Color. It's another one of those little envelopes, and then just like a layered and stitched journaling card. Child Life magazine. And there's like some bead charms on this bulb pin. This is a wax paper bag. And I took Jibid's idea of doing the, you know, lines on a journaling card with the sewing machine, and I just think it looks really cool. She has such awesome journals and so many amazingly creative ideas of how to embellish your journals in a very natural way. And I just really admire her. So I'm trying to figure out how she does certain things and maybe emulate those a little bit more in my books. This is a weekly catalog from 1958. I got that at the thrift store not too long ago. This is a really old book. I can't remember the name of the book, but I just love the text on this paper, and some of the images are just really, really pretty. I always take the envelopes whenever I use them in the signatures and I turn them upside down, and then I just use the flap as a pocket, and then I cut open the side of the envelope. So it's kind of always going to be like a little double pocket. Wrapping paper with a vintage playing card. Encyclopedia. And these are like some, I was going to make these into little booklets, and you could actually do that if you want to. I took some tracing paper and just layered some images, like they're little shapes that I punched out of book pages, some little words and pictures of flowers that I fussy cut and that kind of thing, and just layered it in between a piece of coffee dyed paper and tracing paper. I never got around to making the little booklets, but you could do it. That'd be cool. So here's a little layered card that says cheerful. One of my clusters. It's a journaling card. And sometimes I gesso these and sometimes I don't, you know. I mean, some people don't mind writing over that text. And there's a flashcard. Some old ledger paper or notebook paper. It is from a ledger, I guess. So yeah, it's ledger paper. Wallpaper. Atlas paper. This is another book about gardening, specifically on flowers. This is some old wrapping paper, another piece of ledger paper. This is the instructions to a vintage pattern. Some layered lace and doily stitched onto the edge of that page. And there's a little charm as an owl on this little bulb pin on that one. It's a little index card divider. Image from old family pictures. A little ticket, and then this envelope has a little layered tag inside. Almost done, guys. Garden Flowers in Color again. It's my favorite book about flowers. Some more postage on this little pocket, and another one of those little envelopes. Some more ephemera, wallpaper. This book page, I just stitched it onto a piece of Prima cardstock. Just wanted to make it a little sturdier, I think. This is like a little collage tag. This has got, I'm trying to get it to kind of show you, a piece of acetate over the front, and then I like to add little things inside there that'll kind of float around. It's a little tiny tag. Wallpaper, tally card inside there, a little tiny pocket. This has got some cheesecloth on it. It's the other side of that paper that I love, some tea-dyed paper. This is from the calendar. Encyclopedia page. You get the idea, you guys. All right, and there's the last, the back of the book. And then here's one of those cards with the little tag and some lace and stuff like that. Okay, so that is Gypsy Soul, and I should have these actually listed. I have the pictures taken already, so these should be listed by the time this video uploads. And yeah, so give me a thumbs up if you like the video, you like the journals. If you have any questions or comments, I would love to hear them. And yeah, let me know what you think. And don't forget to subscribe if you've not already. And remember, I do live stream on Wednesdays and Sundays at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time for a couple of hours each day. And yeah, so thank you for watching, and I love you guys. Bye for now.